This week on Music Life with Mike, I've got a great show for you. I'm really excited about this. We've got a crazy new weird instrument of the week that I know you're going to love. We've got Acacia coming from the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to talk about what's going on there and what's exciting. But first, please welcome my good friend Jim Malahoff and his friends. Going to be rocking up the set for you guys.
1, 2, 3, 4. Don't miss my Monday mornings. Don't miss my daily bread. Don't miss my Monday morning. Don't miss my daily bread. When you think that it's over, you ain't never been there. Well, do what you have to and make it right. Well, do what you have to and make it right. Well, you know it ain't easy. Well, you know it ain't nice. Mr. Operator, please give me the news. Waiting every day now. Got nothing to lose. I'm taking it easy. I'm taking it slow. Go ahead, Dan. Well, you've got the answer. Well, you've got the time. Well, you've got the answer. Well, you've got the time. Take the weight off your shoulder and start stepping in line. Well, tell me, baby. Well, tell me now. Well, tell me, baby. Well, tell me now. I'm making it happen. I'm getting down.
Something that's very near and dear to my heart is the Business Excellence Awards that's put on by the Chamber of Commerce here in Kamloops. And the Chamber of Commerce here in Kamloops has put on just an absolutely amazing award show every year. It's very high caliber. It is the show, I believe, in Kamloops. I've been on the judging committee. I've been AV tech behind it. I've been doing all sorts of different things for it for many, many, many years. And I just hold this event in very high regard and think that it's really great. So it's really exciting for me to have the executive director of the Kamloops Chamber of Commerce, Acacia Lilani.
Yeah, we just go Acacia. That works.
Acacia, it's fun. I'm terrible. I need everything spelled out. Not phonetically for me. See, I can't even say it right. But with Acacia, she's executive director, and I'm really glad that you're here because the Chamber doesn't do just the Business Excellence Awards. That's just a small part of what you do, recognizing businesses and what happens. You guys are actually also pushing governance federally and provincially. And my guest, Acacia, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome. One thing that you didn't mention too, though, is that you're also a multi-year winner of the awards. So you've talked so much about all the work that you've done, but Mike and Lee's Music has also been recognized for all of their business success and hard work over the years. So hopefully you can get this in the shot.
I actually brought out all of our awards that we've gotten, and every one of them, and every one that we hadn't won, by the way, has been really important to us. One of the things I'm really proud about, of course I'm proud that we were recognized by our peers in such a good way with the Business Excellence Awards, but even just getting nominated, that does a lot for your business.
I totally agree. The Business Excellence Awards is by far one of my favorite parts of my job at the Chamber, and it's because we get to recognize people every year from all walks of life, from different businesses who have different passions, and that really is what makes our community so great, is how everyone in their own unique way brings something special, but then we know how to come together and help each other out and get through things like a pandemic. And that's where we're really trying to use the awards as a way of recognizing what businesses have gone through this last year, and then celebrating, what they have gone through, and the ones who've pivoted, and the ones who've shown resilience and really, powered through the last year. So we're really excited for it.
So I've got a couple pictures here of Business Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
The new logo and everything like that. I love it. Business Excellence Awards. Mitch, right?
Yeah.
Here's a guy. He won some big award. He won multiple awards last year, didn't he?
He did.
Or this is 2 years ago.
This was 2 years ago now, and he won. I believe this is when he won Young Entrepreneur of the Year, which you've also won too.
That was a huge thing for us. Yeah.
And then they also, Redbeard Cafe won the Inclusive Workplace Award that year. So a couple of awards that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the characters in our community. This is one of them. And this was our last in-person event, the Roaring 20s.
Oh.
The only reason I'm bringing up this picture is because we were so optimistic about what 2020 was going to bring.
We were. Honestly, the discussions about this theme, we wanted to get on it before everybody else did in the 20s, because we thought, well, in 2020, people are going to be wanting to do the Roaring 20s. So we totally jumped the gun and did it in 2019.
But you know what?
And then it didn't happen.
Looking back on it, the Roaring 20s, I don't think anybody will ever forget 2020 or the 20s. And yes, we're going through some horrible stuff, business-wise, personally-wise, health-wise. But when there's bad, there's also good.
For sure.
And we're going to come out of this, and I know that our community is going to be tighter. We had a band playing here at the opening of the show. It was the first time I've actually listened to a full band play. We had drums, bass, guitar, singing, and it's like I'm so hungry for live music, for live entertainment, for that kind of a thing. It was amazing. So I know that we're going to have the Roaring 20s are going to come. So the Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Awards, something that's really amazing. Anybody can nominate. So even if you're just part of, you don't have to be part of the business community. You can be Joe Blow. My aunt in Summerland. Yeah, if you're listening, you can nominate me for an award if you'd like.
Yeah, anybody can nominate any business in the community, and they don't have to be chamber members. That has nothing to do with the awards show at all. We just want to recognize people who are working hard in the community. And so there's 16 award categories this year. Nominations are open until May 31st. And so you still have lots of time, which is good because
And it's really easy. You just go to the Chamber's website.
It is.
Click on it.
Click on there's a box right on our homepage that says nominate a business you love today, and it'll take you to our nomination form. We have recently updated all of the processes with the awards, and so it's much easier for people to nominate and go through the process. So we're looking forward to that kind of working out better for us. But yeah, it's going to be awesome, and it's super easy to do. So we're hoping that we can get a lot of nominations in this year, and you can nominate businesses for multiple awards. It doesn't have to be just one.
So hear that? Make sure as many people as you can, make it happen, because it'll make their day brighter, and that's what everybody needs these days. Okay, next subject. Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Awards. Yes.
Yes.
Next subject, is it just the Chamber of Commerce?
Just the Chamber of Commerce. Also, yes.
Also, yes. Yeah. The Chamber of Commerce, I've gotten to know the Chamber of Commerce across Canada because as an exporter, I need to get a thing called a carnet. And when I travel with my guitars, I have to have this little piece of paper that says, hey, I'm using these samples, I'm temporarily exporting them, and then I'm temporarily importing them back in. And it's a huge amount of paperwork, and it's all administered by the Chamber of Commerce.
It is.
And I remember being in customs, held in the back room. They thought I was American, I think. Seriously, when I gave my Canadian passport, I watched them just go, oh. And I was held there because I didn't have the proper paperwork. They confiscated all my guitars, which were like all my custom handmade, beautiful,
yeah, all of your blood, sweat, and
stuff.
tears. Yeah.
So I came in. I think you were there.
No, I think this was just before me,
before you?
but I've heard this story and I love it.
I walked in, and Deb was the executive director at the time, and I said, Deb, I need a carnet. And she looked at me like, a carnet? Do you mean carnet? And it's like a silent T or whatever. Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay, that's what I need. So that's one thing that was kind of cool with the Chamber. The other thing that I know with the Chamber is the provincial Chamber I've talked at a few times and met other people from other communities. And you guys hosted the Provincial Chamber of Commerce AGM here in Kamloops?
We did, yeah, just a couple of years ago. And then for our after party, we paired it with a Brewloops event, because what better way to showcase Kamloops than live music and local beer.
Yeah, it was so amazing. And you get a sense that actually the Chamber is more than just 3 people in an office downtown Kamloops. I can't believe what you guys do with 3 people.
Yeah.
So you have
We're a small team.
You have an executive board, and you write a ton of stuff. So when I was having problems exporting guitars into China, and we had like a 30% tariff, I went to the local chamber.
And that's really, a perfect example of how the Chamber works behind the scenes for business. For every type of business issue, there's a Chamber strategy and approach, or a way that we can go through our network to find some help. That's really why Chambers were created, is because back in the day when places like railroads were deciding where to go through, decisions needed to be made of how it would be best suited for commerce and for business and for trade. And so there needed to be a body that spoke on behalf of the business community, because being a business owner is tough. You are in your business, you are putting out fires, you are thinking ahead about how you're going to grow. What are you looking? You're not going and looking on the government regulations and seeing what you have to follow. Maybe you are, but maybe you have staff to do that. Not everybody does, right? And so that's where the Chamber is in your corner. Like, we have the connections with governments, and we've the proven history of advocating to government on behalf of the business community, that they listen. And so over the last year, throughout the pandemic, our sole focus was on getting data to every level of government, so they would understand how the business community was impacted by COVID. And that really allowed us to kind of come back to our roots of why Chambers existed. And so even though we have a small 3-person team, we were really able to focus on the work that mattered for our business community over the last year.
I also really like how involved your board is.
They are very involved.
And I feel like that's more so than maybe other communities have, and something you should be proud of.
Oh, absolutely. I would say that my peers are envious of my board and the engagement that I have, or we have in our community. And what it is the fact that we've created a culture of helping one another out at our chamber. And so we try to recruit people who want what's best for the community and who have skill sets that can actually help business owners out. And so our board is made up of such an amazing and talented, smart group of people, and I'm continually learning from them. And they are so dedicated to our business community that, even over the pandemic, they were meeting twice a month just to scan the issues, understand the impacts, and make sure government understood how business was doing.
Exactly, right? I find it really exciting to think if there's a problem or whatever it is, that the chamber's there. Now, it's been around for a long time. When did you guys start?
So actually, 2021 is our 125th anniversary. So we're looking pretty good for 125.
Yeah.
So when you think about 125 years ago, like I look at we have this old docket in our boardroom of all the merchant names, and there were bakers and bankers and just regular merchants. They didn't even classify them. These are the people that started the chamber in 1896, right?
Right.
And to look at where we've come, the 10-year passport is a policy idea that came out of the Kamloops Chamber. The tax-free savings account is a policy idea that came out of the Chamber. And those things interact or engage with regular Canadians, everyday Canadians, So these are big policy things, and that's the power of the Chamber network.
Absolutely.
And so now, you come forward to 2021, we're bringing forward policies that talk about trying to get accessible health care. And so people that we're recruiting to work in our great jobs can find a doctor when they need one.
Right.
We're talking about how to unlock parcels of land for affordable housing, but in a way that would incentivize a corporation to donate land. So we're using private property for the greater good. So this is the type of stuff that we're working on, and it makes my job super fun. And because we're working on actual challenges and issues that people are talking about that they're important to them.
Right.
And it actually feels like you're making a difference when, you're talking to government about what you're hearing from your community members. And, every time there's another announcement where there's supports announced for business or wage subsidies or tax breaks, that's all due to advocating that we've done. And so we've never been able to see our work in real time have that type of reaction until the pandemic. And so that's been really cool.
Well, I know that you help bring attention to our local MPs, MLAs and MPs?
Everybody.
Yeah. We actually had a board meeting with Greg Cohn came in, and we all talked about the audiovisual industry and how it's being affected. We were, I think, the first. In fact, you know what happened? The pandemic, when it started, was during your AGM, and I was sitting there in the room, and my phone started blowing up from the office here. This event canceled. This event canceled. These guys just canceled, and that was just the beginning of it all, and that was actually at a chamber event.
I know. I remember we were like just getting the policy session all set up, and the announcement came from Dr. Bonnie Henry that it was 250 people or less for events, and we had about 145. So people were calling us saying, is it still a go, or is there too many people? And we were like, no, just come here. This will probably be the last event. And yeah, you were sitting there with one of our board members. And
Bryce.
Yeah.
We were chatting about that. It's our industry, our audiovisual. I know the restaurant industry is going through some really tough times, and it's difficult. And I enjoy seeing the support from our community and that kind of a thing for that. But the audiovisual event industry is decimated. I was thinking of starting up the AVAC, Audiovisual Association of Canada, and putting up a big, huge sound system on the back of a truck and screaming from the sound system as I drive downtown. But I don't see us going back to full speed that we were at pre-pandemic. So I'm really interested in seeing how it's going to change. I know we're going to do a lot of virtual stuff. We've certainly moved a lot into virtual. I don't know if you know this, but we actually opened up a TV studio essentially downstairs.
Oh, fantastic.
So we opened up a room. Our graphics designer, webmaster became a videographer and video editor. And we actually host kind of live events and do a lot of pre-recording, and it's like a little TV studio we do for.
Okay.
Well, we just did like the big Silka conference, which was 8 weeks of having every minister who had anything to say was coming in, and we were pre-recording them, and we have John Horgan coming up at our next meeting that we're doing with them. So lots of really cool things going on.
Yeah.
But I took all of my big PA gear, line arrays for big arenas and subwoofers, and we put them into a long-term storage because we needed the space for our guitar company, And I was just, as I was loading all this stuff up, I was thinking, I don't know when it's going to be when I'm going to be able to plug this all back in and do that. But
no, and you make a really good point. Like as a community, we've really talked about the restaurants and hospitality industry, and our community has shown up to support them. And Mitchie's Delivery, they're a member of ours. They actually had to close the app down one night, the night that the announcement was you can only do takeout or patios, because they were overwhelmed by the number of orders that they received from the community.
That's amazing,
right? So you hear things like that, and it's like, yeah, our community absolutely will band together, but our arts organizations, our events companies, and the audiovisual companies that support that, the banquet rooms and hotels that have been sitting essentially vacant for over a year, we haven't done the best job at shining the light on the impacts to those industries. And I think, it's hard to talk about all of the people who are being impacted all the time, especially when maybe restaurants needed it a little bit more. But I think you're absolutely right on that it's an industry in need. That's why we met with the MLAs to try and get some
huge.
sort of push. We ended up getting a letter back like months later in response, and it shows that the government really isn't willing to look at anything for events, and they've painted the industry with this brush and decided that it's going to continue to stay that way. But that's just opened it up for you to innovate and open up a TV studio downstairs and do all of that type of stuff, right?
Which is really good, because if you can make it during the pandemic and cover your bills and do that kind of a thing, coming out of it, it should be opening up. A lot of us, I think, are eating our fat.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with, for a little bit. but in actuality, to survive, we're becoming a lot leaner. But I'm excited about what, like I said, I think there's going to be a huge amount of new events, new styles events, many smaller events instead of the big grandiose events.
I think so, but I think that will also allow us to kind of get back to that social connection a little bit better, and more one-on-one, more intimate type of events or experiences. And I think that's like a really great way to get back into doing things. And I think we're going to want to be careful, right? I don't think everyone's just going to want to jump and be comfortable putting 400 people in a banquet room anymore, right? So, we're definitely at the Chamber, because we host so many events, we're definitely watching what other communities are doing, how the public sentiment is, trying to utilize our outdoors as much, like trying to think of what outdoor spaces we could gather in down the road.
Sure,
so, yeah, we're looking forward to it, and I think that we hear it from our members all the time. They miss our socials. They miss the...
I was going to say, first Wednesday of every month.
I know.
That's one of the things I miss the most.
So first Wednesday of every month, usually over 100 people crammed into one business or just outside of it, because there's so many people, and it's amazing. And we've actually had a lot of people move to Kamloops over the pandemic who've been looking for that type of opportunity to connect, and we just haven't had the same sort of ability to do that. You can plan a get together on Zoom, but it's not the same as going to a networking event and actually see people and talk to them in person.
Another subject I wanted to talk to you about was Acacia before the Chamber.
Me before the Chamber.
I think that I met you originally with Miss Kamloops. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how did you get involved with Miss Kamloops? And you were really involved.
I was really involved, so much so that I was Miss Kamloops at one point. So I was Miss Kamloops when I was 16, and I loved it. I totally went into the program because I wanted to prove my mom wrong. She told me that it was this program for girls who look a certain way, and and I didn't, and I was like, whatever, Mom, I'm going to show you, and didn't think I'd actually receive a title or anything. I just had fun, and I made a lot of friends, and I was competitive, so I wanted to win, but didn't expect it. And then when I won, I was shocked. And I spent 2008, 2009 representing our community. I went to 15 different communities on behalf of our community, talking about Kamloops and encouraging people to come back. And then in 2012, I was Miss BC. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Okay, that's exciting.
yeah.
Congratulations on that. Yeah.
So then I moved up to the bigger crown, and but the program itself is a self-development program that focuses on developing young leaders and working on professional development and personal skills. There's no beauty component, there's no physical component whatsoever, and I think
But there is a talent show, isn't there?
There used to be a talent show.
My sister won it for Miss Vernon.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What'd she do?
She sang and choreographed a thing to YMCA called EBHN, Everybody Be Happy Now.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to my sister, Trisha Miltimore.
Yeah, so the program just really helped me a lot. It really helped my confidence. It showed me the community and just how much people gave back to Kamloops. And we actually did a lot of volunteering with the Chamber. Funny enough, Deb, who we've talked about, was a judge in Miss Kamloops when I ran. So she actually was part of the judging committee that picked me to be Miss Kamloops.
Nice.
Little did we know, flash forward to 2019, that I would have her job after she left.
Was that a whole plan?
Honestly, it wasn't, but it kind of worked out that way.
Awesome. Well, Acacia, as you know, I'm a huge fan. The Chamber, I think, has done so much for my business. In fact, I used a lot of these awards to step into the Young Entrepreneur Award I won for Canada. I got second place, and my video showcases that these awards in a big way, and it's a stepping stone from your community to the world stage, just like Miss Kamloops was to Miss BC to Canada to the world.
To the world.
So,
and the Chamber is very much that way. So one day I'll probably run BC and then Canadian and then the world.
You heard it first here. Yes, yeah. So I want to thank you for taking the time, coming and talking to me. I've learned a lot about you this morning, which I did not know, and I want to encourage everybody again to make sure that they vote or nominate any business, every business, as many as you can, because it makes the program better. And I'm excited to tell everybody about what's coming up as my weird instrument of the week. Every week I pull something down from our ceiling or from the archives, because my dad and I have been collecting instruments since the 80s that we like. And I'm going to show one that's kind of crazy from 1935. It's coming up next. Weirdo instrument of the week is something that is kind of to our core as our business. My family's music store, Lee's Music, River Song Guitars. We like to build our instruments with weird things, thoughts inspired by other inspirations. And this week's inspiration or weirdo instrument of the week is no slouch. It's one that I've always been fascinated with. And it goes back to the time of pipe organs. Whoa. Way back, churches would have these giant pipe organs, and they'd have air compressors or air, and you'd have to pump them up. I guess it wasn't really a compressor, but pump up, you'd play them, and they'd put air and stuff through these big, huge, long tubes to make this huge sound that would fill a church sanctuary. And there was a guy that came out and said, he was an engineer, and he said, I want to design a portable version of this kind of instrument. So he took an old piano, he took a invention from 1896 and said, you know what, I can miniaturize it, because at that time it was on like a train car. It was huge because they needed to generate so much energy to create the sound. And what he thought was, if I make these little spinning discs, and I have a little pickup that picks it up, and those spinning discs go past this pickup, I can create a tone from that. And if I have multiple discs, I can do multiple frequencies, just like we have with the giant church organ with the big pipes. The longer the pipe, the bassier it is. The shorter the pipe, the higher in pitch it is. So he set out to make this instrument, and he finally did, and it came out in 1935. April 1935, actually, and it was the Hammond organ, and the whole idea was to make a portable pipe organ. And it's super cool. It had foot pedals on it to do the bass notes with your feet. It had 2 different keys, so you could have 2 different sets of sounds on it. The very top were all these drawbars that you could pick, and as you slid the drawbar, it would change the volume of each of the discs. So each note would have multiple octaves on it, and each drawbar, as you pulled it up, would raise or lower the volume of those different components of each note. So you'd be able to get these complex sounds. And it turned out to be an amazing success. This is a picture of the tone wheel. You can see the little pickups. You can see there's a motor in the back here that turns. There's a starting procedure. And this is what I loved about this instrument. You gotta remember, it's from 1935. It became one of the most sought after sounds of blues and rock. Every church, the first year that they had sales, they sold huge numbers of them. And by the end of the 30s, they were doing 200 a month of making these miniature pipe organs. But these little miniature things still weighed a ton. As a sound engineer, I loved whenever anybody would bring one of these organs, the Hammond B3, or in the case that I'm going to show you in a few minutes, the C3, which was the church model, which had a modesty panel. I always loved carrying these things because they sounded so good. And as a sound engineer, there's things that you can't accomplish unless you have this old piece of equipment. One of the things is this tone wheel system. It has its own unique sound. The other thing that it has are the key contacts. So this is a key. When you push down on this key, it pushes down on this finger. It's actually pushed down right now. You can see these contacts are bent, and they're pushing against these bus bars. And these are the individual bus bars for each one of those oscillators. So what happens, and this is some of the magic of the Hammond organ, and if you have somebody that actually knows how to play a Hammond organ, which I am not, I'm going to do my best for you, but if somebody that knows how to play it, as you push down on the key, these fingers, just like you see right here, these fingers press against the bus bars, but they don't do it exactly the same time. You might get one down first, then the next ones, so it gets this different sound while you're playing. Fast forward to some of the new emulating Hammond organ sounds that you can get on like an electronic keyboard. They use 2 contacts generally per each key. So when you push it down, it's measuring the time difference between each pad making the connection, and that's telling you how loud it has to be. There's no ability for it to know that if you just press it down slightly, you get different sounds. So it's a totally different beast, and if you know Hammond organs, you know what it's going to be. The other thing that it was not designed to be with the Hammond organ, because the Hammond organ made the organs, they had speakers in some of them, and they had big reverb coils, so big springs. And at the end of the spring was a little pickup, so when that spring vibrated, it would pick that up and add reverb. And they would place these speakers, reverb speakers, around the room to give you a room-filling sound. So you'd play, and you'd hear the reverb from these little speakers. But Leslie, this guy, invented this speaker that he wanted to create that would throw sound around the room. So what he did was he said, well, if we just take it and we beam steer using this cylinder in here actually has a scoop out of it, and it spins. This is a motor right here that spins this. The speaker downfires into it, and it throws the sound 360 degrees around this cabinet. So you get this sound that's being thrown around, and it can fill a room with sound. The tweeters for the high frequencies are right here at the top. And you can see the horns, the trumpet style horns, spin around, and they're controlled with this motor. And this is the tweeter right here, so it's going up. So you have a woofer that's spinning and a tweeter that's spinning, and they're spinning in different directions. So what happens is when you play Hammond organs, you hook it up to this, and there's a little tube amplifier, And people would go into these churches where they'd have these Hammond organs, and they'd start playing, and they would just crank it up. And the drums would be loud, the keyboard would be cranked way up, it would distort. This would be a floppy little speaker, it would distort, and they would sit there and play, wah, and then they'd hit a switch, the Leslie switch, and it would speed these guys up, so all of a sudden went woo, 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 and then you'd hit it again, and it would go woo, 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 and it had this awesome sound to it, which I'm going to show you in just a second. And the belts that would be used to spin these would slip, and they'd go at different rates, and they're going opposite directions, so you're getting all sorts of phase things. This is something that you cannot hear just with headphones. You have to be beside an actual Leslie cabinet to experience it. And this is why I wanted to highlight the weirdo instrument of the week is from 1935, and it's the Hammond C3 organ. This is what music and innovation is all about. This was invented by a guy that wasn't even a piano or organ player, but just thought it'd be really cool that he could do something like this. And he created it, and it sparked a revolution. I was talking about the tone wheels, which are all inside the cabinet here. These are the drawbars that we pull out and that allow us to get the different sounds. So check us out. They're all down right now. I'll pull one out at a time. So you can build your sound. The cool thing at this instrument is capable of producing 15 hertz. That is so low, and at the time, I don't think there was anything that was capable of actually putting out that kind of energy in terms of a speaker, but this was capable of producing it. So this was far beyond its time. So this is all your different slides you can grab. You can turn on something called percussion. So it's got this. The percussion is this sound. So very classic. You've heard these sounds over and over again. This is the instrument that created them, and there was nothing else that could do it like this. This switch here is that marriage made in heaven between a Leslie speaker and the Hammond organ. Originally made to fill the space with sound, but now it's set up so you can do it. Hear that? Speeds up, and we're going to slow it down. Deep Purple, love this thing. I love this thing. It's the 1935 Hammond tone wheel organ. So an exciting thing for me, and one of the main reasons I started this show, was to showcase local musicians, local bands, and give a voice to the bands that don't have anywhere to play right now. So we opened up the floor of our family's music store, and here we are. This is our first band. I'm really excited. Jim Malahoff has been a good customer of ours for many years, and I'm excited to know more about him. He's got a great cast of croons, is that a word?
Characters.
Characters that are, I make up words a lot during the show, and I recognize all these guys, so it's really fun to have you guys here. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, so first of all, your song that you played at the start of the show,
yeah.
What was the name of that song?
That was called Taking It Slow.
Taking It Slow, okay.
Yeah, kind of a funky jazz. And we've jammed this one quite a few times in the city.
Yeah,
so it's a good song to start off with.
Yeah, it sounded great. I love the guitar parts that you got going on in it.
Right.
I know when you sent me the track and I listened to it, there was a lot of guitar parts.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. That was the recording. Live stuff just tends to be different.
And I loved it. I thought it was really great. So,
right.
You've written 2 albums or recorded 2 albums?
Yeah, I hooked up with a guy in Vancouver a few years ago named Wayne Sanderson, and we made a couple CDs. So Peaks and Valleys was the first one, and then we did another one called
Cafe.
Go with the Flow.
Go with the Flow.
And
coffee songs?
These are on, the coffee songs. We did some individual songs. We did a couple sports songs too. And yeah, I wrote quite a few songs with Wayne, but a lot of these songs really weren't performed live. So when I got back to Kamloops a couple of years ago, I started jamming with these guys and trying them out at jams. And so, yeah, we hope to do that in the future.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we all do.
Yeah, everybody does.
And you know what? So I've got a friend that's in the Middle East, in Israel of all places, and they've all got their vaccines, and everything is actually back to normal. They've got bands playing, they got stuff going on. I've got a lot of friends down in the southern states that are getting ready to go on tour again, booking their tours. So I think there is that light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm really excited about it. And I've said this before, barn dances I think are going to be huge in Kamloops. Community dances.
You could have one around here.
I really think so, and I think if you guys were to play somewhere, I know that all your neighbors and everybody would come and flood to it, and it's going to be that support that we've probably never in our generations have noticed.
Yeah, it'll be different.
And I'm really excited about that. So, so you moved back from Vancouver a couple years ago to Kamloops, and you've been playing. Where do you draw your musical inspirations from?
Well, I'm just everybody really. Some kind of a 70s rock, 80s.
Yeah.
My favorite guitar player was George Harrison, probably, and I like James Burton. He's got a Telecaster.
Oh yes, yeah.
So, but yeah, just pop music mainly.
I heard a great story about George Harrison this morning from Terry O'Reilly, and it had Phil Collins tried out playing congas for George Harrison on his first solo album.
Oh yeah.
And when the song came out, George Harrison wasn't actually on it.
Oh right.
And Phil Collins wasn't actually on it. And he was kind of upset. So years later, Phil Collins became a big star, went to George Harrison and said, "Hey, do you remember when I was a teenager, I recorded this thing with you and you never put him on the track?" So anyways, George Harrison sent him the original masters.
Oh, really?
And at the end of it all, it was terrible conga playing, and Phil Collins was upset.
Embarrassing.
And then he heard George Harrison say, "Get rid of the kid on congas, he's terrible."
Yeah, right.
So he phoned George Harrison. George Harrison said, laughed because he actually just re-recorded all of them to send him to play a prank on Phil Collins, which I thought was great.
Well, worked out well for both of them.
Yeah, music, we have a lot of fun with things. So tell me, I see you got Dan Heslop on keys.
Yeah, I played with Dan quite a few times at the jam sessions. Same with Richard and Brendan, Mr. Versatility here. He's drummed a lot. We've played drums for me a lot.
Yeah, Brendan plays also bass, guitar, keyboard. Yeah. We were going to do a dueling piano thing at one point, and it looks like we might even have the two guys to do that right here. That could be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So and Richard.
Richard's been a mainstay in Kamloops. He's quite a drummer. Yeah,
which is awesome. Great. So tell me about the next song you're going to be playing.
The next song is called "You Got the Country."
You Got the Country. That's what. Okay. Yes. Yeah. And what's it about?
Actually, "You Got the Country" is a salute to country music, so it's kind of a show tune.
Okay. Yeah. Some guitar parts.
Guitar.
Did I hear?
I'd like to have some horns and trumpets in a full, but that's not available right now. But
you
have everything.
You never asked. I was the first chair trombone player in high school.
I should have remembered.
Not many people know that. And if you guys ever need a trombone player, I can play out of time with the best of them.
We'll put you on the list.
Awesome. Well, please welcome my good friend again for his second song and closing out the show. You've Got Country.
You Got the Country.
You Got the Country. We'll get that right.
Okay.
You Got the Country. You're going to love it. Thanks, Jim, for coming. Thanks, guys. And thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello there. How's it going? I said hello there. All right. It's been a long time. Been a long time. Rock my soul. Rock my soul. I really know when you got it. You don't really know what you need. Here we go again. Here we go again. the country. It's in your soul. Country music, it's nearly rock and roll. Playing your fiddle, tapping your shoes. You got the riddle, singing the tunes. We'll be playing the music across the land. We got country music, it's a one-night stand. Getting ready, it's ready to go. You got the feeling that we're stealing the show. So long, folks.